Hello everyone, Pat Dana MMA back with another video. I told you guys I was going to be bringing you Contender Series breakdowns and more uploads for the rest of this year, so I'm going to keep my promise. Today we got DWCS Week 4 breakdown, Shannon Clark versus Yuneisy Duben, Canada versus Venezuela, our first women's bout of the season. Kind of intriguing matchup, you could say. Maybe not the best of the season, but still could be a pretty fun fight. I'm going to start off with Shannon Clark, Canada Shannon Clark. She's 5-0. She is the LFA Women's Flyweight Champion. She won that championship over a pretty game challenger in Tayani Lopez, who was 5-0 herself. Clark choked her out in the second round with a bulldog choke, and Lopez was a black belt. So that was a very, very impressive win from Clark. A lot of people were not expecting a win like that if she was going to win it anyway. That was actually the first submission of her pro career. Her other three finishes come by TKO, and then her other one win is a decision win, very dominant unanimous decision where she looked pretty solid, but one of the common themes in her fights, and you'll see this, is she's a very sloppy brawler on the feet and just kind of rushes in and gets hit unnecessarily a lot. Her striking defense isn't great. She's pretty bad at striking at range. Her leg kicks are good and her pressure is good, but her striking overall isn't the best part of her game. Her pressure and her cardio is where we really start to see her shine. That's where Shannon Clark becomes Shannon Clark. She has decent wrestling and she's decent on top, but once the fight hits the ground, her sweeps and reversals, she's very hard to submit. Just very active off her back. She's always throwing elbows. She's always landing hammer fists. Like she's pretty well rounded when it comes to the grappling side of her game. Even in the clinch, her clinch grappling is even solid. She can win minutes just holding girls in the clinch and just landing some short punches. Her takedown defense, though, is not what you really want to see for a girl that likes to wrestle as much, but her sweeps and reversals do kind of make up for that. And her clinch strikes are pretty good. Her elbows, her knees, especially in the clinch, are something that I was pretty impressed by, actually. I didn't realize her clinch striking was as good as it was before I watched the tape. But she has to make it ugly. That's how Shannon Clark wins this fight. She makes it ugly. She makes it a brawl. She gets close to Dubin, gets up in that clinch, and kind of just dogs her way through this fight. That's Shannon Clark's path to victory. For Yuneisy Duben, now she's 4-0, but her record is what we call spotty. She's never fought a girl with a record at all in her pro career. They've all been 0-0. So it's a very strange thing. And just to address the elephant in the room here as well, she has one fight since 2019. So that's where it kind of like strikes me very weird on Dubin is in that one fight that she did have in 2024, which is her only fight in the past 5 years, she managed to look a lot better. She came back quicker with better boxing, better defense. She looked good, but is that because she was fighting another 0-0 girl, or did she actually get better in these 5 years? I'm leaning that she got better, but you really can't tell. She's a very big question mark. You can see the tape on her. She has her chin up a lot, hands down, and she just loves to brawl, which will kind of go with Shannon Clark's style a little bit, and we might see some fun brawling action between these two. And Dubin also gets hit a lot, so both of these girls are very susceptible to being hit, to getting into a brawl. But I will say Dubin is the better boxer. She has better boxing. She has better power. She's more technical, more pop in her punches, just better overall in the boxing with fast and hard kicks to the legs and head constantly coming at her opponents. So overall striking on the feet, Dubin Dubin beats Clark. Dubin is better than Clark on the feet striking wise. Her footwork is great. She does best at range with her kicks, which is kind of where Clark is at her disadvantage point. So Dubin really wants to keep this fight at kickboxing range and kind of just, work her game slowly but surely. Her spinning attacks are also pretty good and something to watch out for. She throws the spinning back fist. She throws the spinning back kick. She does a lot of cool stuff in the cage sometimes. And even though her takedown defense is really bad from what I've seen, like a simple head and arm trip just gets her down. Her get-ups are really strong, and they looked great in her last fight in 2024. When she got taken down once, she instantly popped up to her feet. So her cardio's a little suspect. The times that she has went later in fights, she slows down volume-wise, and she's just a very weird case of fighting. And I think that this is supposed to be a fight that Clark wins, and if she can't, it's not going to be the best look. I think Clark does get it done here. I will pick Clark by unanimous decision as my final prediction, but I could see this fight going a multitude of ways now because Duben looked good enough in her last fight that if this fight stays on the feet with Clark at range, I think she could get a finish. I think she might be able to finish or just unanimous decision Clark by just keeping it on the feet and outboxing and out kickboxing her. But Clark just makes it ugly every time, man. Sometimes it's not looking good for her, and then she just makes it ugly the way she wants, and it flips on the turn of its head. She could get a submission here. Dubin has been submitted as an amateur, and like I said, her takedown defense is not great. I expect her to be on her back at some point in this fight, and Clark might be able to find a submission there. I mean, she submitted a black belt in her last fight, and Dubin is not a black belt. However, I do think Dubin has a gold medal in Taekwondo. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but Dubin has her own background herself. So this is going to be an interesting case, interesting test for both fighters here, but I definitely lean Shannon Clark. If I had to pick, I'd say Shannon Clark gets it done by decision, maybe submission. I wanted to thank all of you for making it this far and coming again to my second Contender Series breakdown from this season. There will be more from this episode. There will be more for the rest of the season. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching.